PhotoNet Gerard Hearst Connecticut Media John Stoehr Business Columnist John Stoehr Business Columnist PhotoNet Gerard Hearst Connecticut Media John Stoehr I undervalued Trump's unpopularity in the wake of last week's elections. It's time for me to reconsider what I thought was true when I argued over the summer that the tide was turning against the Democrats in Connecticut. I was wrong, partially. I had good reasons at the time. Donald Trump won in the 2016 election. The Republicans split evenly the state Senate that year and nearly took over the state House. The Connecticut Business and Industry Association was leading the offensive with a communication strategy and funding. The budget fiasco had not yet built up a head of toxic steam. Plus, nobody liked the governor. Put these all together and it really did look, as of June, like the tide was turning against the Democrats. State Sen. Ted Kennedy Jr., D. Branford, who was much talked about as a gubernatorial candidate, announced that month he wasn't going to run. It remains true that Gov. Daniel Malloy is universally unpopular. He won't seek re-election because of it. But during the months in which the state ran without a budget, he pushed the legislature in ways that did not appear to favor the Democrats, thus sparing them from the taint of his fallen reputation. The legislature eventually passed a budget with huge majorities, a fact that also put greater distance between the governor and his party. It wasn't just Malloy's prickly personality that turned people against him. It was his double whammy. He tried to straw-boss the public sector unions, thus alienating Democrats. He signed 2 tax increases, thus alienating Republicans. Then there were the painful exit of General Electric, Aetna and election. Altogether, these departures galvanized the business community. With the CBI far out front, the state's big business lobby defined the terms of political debate that virtually every newspaper accepted the Democrats were making the state hostile to business. The solution was to elect Republicans. I have been skeptical of that narrative, but I nevertheless understood Malloy and the Democrats were on the defensive. But now that I look back on it, in the wake of Tuesday's municipal elections, the Republicans' peak might have been 2016, not 2018, and for a very big reason, President Donald Trump. That, I think, is what I got wrong. I undervalued Trump's unpopularity. I did not anticipate that his unpopularity would overshadow the governor's. I don't take seriously the idea that everything in politics is a reaction to the person in the White House. Local issues tend to drive local elections, and municipal elections, if they are a reaction to anything, are a reaction to the governor, not the president. But this year really does seem unique. If municipal elections are a reaction to our unpopular governor, why didn't we see a wave of Republican winners? Indeed, we saw the opposite. The Republican Party in Connecticut lost control of 22 municipalities, even strongly held tax-averse areas such as New Canaan and Trumbull. How did this happen? State GOP Chairman Junior Romano is right in suggesting too much can be made of the Trump effect. He reminded reporters Republicans won in Derby and Norwich, towns populated by white working-class voters who constitute Trump's base. But Romano is overlooking, as I did, the way down ballot impact of this particular presidency. Trump has mobilized liberal activists in ways rarely seen, actually, never in my lifetime. This mobilization has had a whole year to drill down to the local level, animating races for everything from mayor to probate judge. This deep penetrating movement in unlikely probate in 2018, and it is likely lift any Democrat who is not named Daniel Malloy. What happened here last week closely tracks with what happened in Virginia, where white voters in affluent, highly educated Washington suburbs supported the Democratic candidate for governor, while white voters in relatively poorer areas in the rural western counties of the state supported the Republican. Connecticut Republicans have typically benefited from the antipathy between the state's rich white suburbs and liberal racially diverse cities. That there is now potential for an alliance does not bode well for the state GOP. Areas like Derby and Norwich aren't enough. They spell permanent minority party. Before last Tuesday, it was possible to see a Trumpist candidate winning Connecticut's governorship. Trumbull's Tim Hearst, a bomb-throwing figure if there ever were one, seemed ready to position himself, obnoxiously, as Trump's local mini-me. Hearst quit his job as Trumbull's first selectman to focus on running for governor, but just as well. His former seat of power flipped for the first time in 8 years. That suggests volumes for anyone modeling himself after the most unpopular president. John Stoehr is a lecturer in political science at Yale and a New Haven resident.